Come and take a class at the Alteration.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another great episode of Alter Academy, where we have another special guest, one of the original Pixelborn grinders, an LCQ winner, and co-host of the Artacast, back for his second episode of Alter Academy. Artabax, everybody. How are you doing today, Artabax?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great, thank you, and thanks for having me. Feeling honored always.
Yeah, and this is actually going to be an incredible episode because this is the first episode of the new Whispers in the Well format, and so I'm very excited to have you and kind of share with us one of these early day one lists. And I know you've been putting into a lot of testing, and so thank you for coming on here and being one of the pioneers of the episode. I know with all the meta shakeups and everything, it's not an easy ask to get on here and show your sauce, so much appreciated.
Yeah, so always like the person who sends the first list is like the most attacked one you can say, because this is the deck that can be like be really like nearly like doomed in 1 week if the meta doesn't work for it. So but I think in general, I think something like this could be, of course, viable in the new format. Yeah, so the general idea was to use the new two perfectly fitting legendary Amethyst cards, which are both great, into the already like very good purple steel deck, and make that deck a bit more mid-rangey and a bit more, how can I say, a bit more has a bit more endurance now because it has more draw power. But also trying to not sacrifice the old strengths, which were like being great into aggro, and also while also being able to kind of to raise against some slower decks. So that's the aim of the deck. The deck strategy generally has a very flat matchup spread, I would say. At least that it's like aimed for. It's in the last format, I would say it's like called a bit like of this fair deck, which has no real good and no real bad matchups. It has good matchups and it has bad matchups, but it's like it's like the most consistent deck. It can be again like the most consistent deck because it has no real failure modes, and but also not extremely crazy high rolls, I have to admit. So should be something like this should be viable in the new format, I think.
And I'm going to talk about one of the cards I see in here. The Cheshire Cat is one that when it was revealed, I was kind of hesitant towards, but in my like few games of testing, the Cheshire Cat has been absolutely insane in comparison to Bell. Like in terms of against like Amber Steel aggro, I was trying it versus a deck similar to this, and the Cheshire Cat just absolutely locked me out. And no matter what I draw, the Cheshire Cat's going to be able to take it out. And so having a card that can just like put that much pressure on those matchups is quite interesting, because I just didn't think it would be that good of a card, but I've been
really
early.
Me neither, because I thought like it's a much more fairer Bell, because like if you play this on turn 5, it's strictly worse. Not strictly worse, but it's like on this turn at least it's worse. But the repeatable effect of this is so annoying for the opponent.
Yeah.
I really underestimated that, and I tested her, was doubting her, and then but came out to be really powerful new 3-drop. And now the 3-drop roster of the deck feels like very good, and suits a lot of situations, I would say.
Yeah, and then I think the other star of the deck here is Lexington, who just is a simple 3-cost 4/4 that gangs or can challenge evasives on the turn with the new alert function. Slightly worse than having evasive because it doesn't work with Dumbo, but that 4/4 body just that early is just so much better than the 3/4.
Yeah, it's already my first testings. It was such a difference. It was not. It's so different. I mean, the card is the downside of these gargoyles is more apparent that I thought it will be, because you are not able to race with all these gargoyles most of the time because they are frozen then. But yeah, just the 4/4 is so amazing, especially of course in by fighting genies, because like he checks genies in itself, and then they need to have an Elsa with Basil or stuff to really have a good answer to it. It's so annoying, so annoying for the opponent, because it sits there. It really suits the playstyle because it can also sing strength really well. Because often when you play this, your opponent can't turn sideways anything, and then you can build a whiteboard and sing some powerful songs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some other new additions are, of course, like the new song, like the new forecast Zeus. Yeah, how can you say it? I always say Zeus. It's like the new Thunderbolt,
Basically,
which is yeah, it's comparable to the old Zeus, very comparable to the old Zeus. But that's 1 damage less, so it does 4 damage, but it's good enough and makes the deck like a really has some really swingy lines then, because it feels sometimes a bit like the old Steel Song where you just shoot everything away every turn.
yeah,
And yeah.
And for those watching home, don't forget, guys, it does give 2 Challenger to the Hades in this deck because he is a deity.
Yeah. I mean, it comes up very, very rare, but it's of course something you have to have in mind to maximize your strengths here. Because it worked sometimes for me out. Yeah.
And speaking of that Hades, how often are you drawing cards, and how often are you taking out a character?
I would say like 85 to 90% I draw cards, I would
Yeah.
say.
And
And that's what I thought when I saw the card at first. I thought like, okay, it's just a 5-cost draw tool, which is way above rate, I would say.
yeah, that's way better than Finders Keepers to have the body, because then it gives you a singer on board and you're still drawing. So
Of course, yeah. I thought like, okay, this is if it would just read this and not the other effect, it would be a very powerful card, and it basically reads this most of the time. But if it doesn't read this, then it also is very powerful. Like if you just remove the best character from an opponent, he's a crazy good top deck in the end game. Really, in nearly any situation, he's great. Because like if you're in 1-to-1 top deck mode and your opponent slams a big character and then you draw this, play this, the opponent has a really tough choice, because he has to probably let you draw 2 cards, but it's already also very valuable. Yeah, we got also some new tools in the 2-drop slot, which I'm testing out right now. I don't know the right call. It depends also on the meta, but the 3/3, the 2-cost 3/3, which we got access to, is I mean, in general, you could say a bit of a worse Calhoun, but it's inkable, so that leaves us. And with that, we can do a much more aggressive mulligan. That cannot be that much punished, because in the past we really didn't want to draw multiple Calhouns, because that was very clunky. But that could also be something like you could also play 1 or 2 Calhoun still and stuff, and there are some other 2-drops which could be played. So I'm really high on the other 2-drop. That's my best. Found out like the last few days, the 3/1 evasive. Because she's able to quest into a lot of stuff. Because this deck has sometimes the problem, that's the only weakness for the deck. Not the only weakness, but a weakness of the deck is like that it's not able to raise sometimes. So that you're just staring there and have not a really opportunity to just turn your Captain Hook or stuff sideways. But you really need to against some decks, because you don't want them to get to the end game. So that's that's cool about her, because she can quest into nearly everything, and then you get free lore.
Yeah, and we love free lore.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
All right, let's talk about Demona.
Mm-hmm.
How has she been performing?
Extremely great. The problem is, as I speak right now, a lot of green decks are coming up, and green decks is where these new additions really not shine, sadly, like the Hades and the Demona, because if you draw cards, they get more value out of the Clarable.
Yeah.
So, but in every curve out, I would say curve out mirror match, like a deck that just plays a character each turn, and then she's absolutely game winning in a lot of situations. Like there are so many games where opponent can't recover from her, because we have a lot of situations right now in these curve out mirrors where both players just play a character each turn and nobody quests. And because they can't, because you don't want to give your opponent favorable trades. And then we have these staring boards where nobody does something really. And she really then, and that was the idea of the deck also a bit, like she really shakes it up. You
Yeah.
play her, all opposing characters are exerted, and then of course you search out which trades to make, which always leads you in a favorable position nearly.
Oh yeah.
And then and then it's often really hard to recover from your for your opponent, because she also has a really beefy body, like 6 cost 5, 6 quest for 2 is also nothing to laugh at. And she's a game ender very often. And not only that, she's also like a bit like a dog replacement for us, because she has a kind of similar effect, much more expensive, but a kind of similar effect, because if you have an empty hand, you draw up to 3.
Oh yeah.
But it also is like leads our deck to be a bit more like curve out than in the past. In the past, we often, our highest character was like 4 or 5, or Elsa or something, and now we often want to curve out, like Genie into Hades into Demona is a very strong line, for instance.
Oh yeah.
This deck can do some really, really, really crazy lines. If you play, my favorite line is, I play a Genie, opponent plays a Genie, I play my Hades on their Genie. They say, okay, you can draw 2, because I don't want you to destroy my Genie. And then after that, you sing with your Genie the Thunderbolt
Yeah.
on their Genie. So completely, knocked out of the game nearly, because it's really insane.
Oh
So
yeah.
the deck has got some really powerful lines now, which was like, which puts the deck a bit ahead, of course. I mean, it's just basically is a very stronger deck like last set, but all the other decks got also some additions, so maybe that doesn't say too much. But it's like just a stronger deck. Has way more powerful things than in the last set. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I think that's a very, very good intro for this, especially with all the new cards. What do you say we get into some alters here? All right, so let's start, as we always start, with blind on the play.
Like blind is something that's hard to say now, because even the blind matchup is like, just as a short disclaimer, also like a bit like how I see the expected meta and what could be there. But the blind mulligan is very straightforward, basically in purple steel, because we still, if you play the deck last set, it's still very, very similar in the mulligan. Like we search for like 1, 2, 3 drop, and then strength is like
Yep.
our searched line. And we still play a lot of 3 drops. That's why we still don't need to keep a 3 drop, because we will find one very likely. So this hand is nothing I really like. If I if I have a good hand, like we play only 1 dog, at least in my list now I have only 1 dog, so that could be in general a keep, but I don't like this hand,
No.
because and then I think it's very risky to keep a dog. So in this particular hand, we want a curve, so we have no 1 drop. We keep for sure one of these 2 drops. I would, in blind, I would keep like this violet right now. But the rest we want to send back here in this hand. I think there's nothing. No, there's nothing we would keep here. Like Pete is, you could think about keeping Pete, but we play so many 3 drops, and on the play, Pete is not very. It's the worst 3 drop if we're on the play. Because we don't want to prevent something on turn 3 from our opponent most of the time. So yeah, like this,
Perfect.
and then we see.
Let's see what we get, and much better.
Yeah, yeah, it's okay. So we ink. Yeah, the ink decision can be not that easy, but I think like very meta dependent. But I would start with Diablo here because I think we have a good hand against Akro, so I would ink the hook and play Diablo here. Blind. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, well, let's move on to blind on the draw now.
Okay. Um, the Cobra is in a really good spot right now. This is just something I can say in general because like nobody, all people are making room for the new cards. So they are cutting all these like hypnotic strength or some tech cards which they
Mm.
tech had in the past in the deck to for these illusions. So the Cobra is most of the time just a 4/4, which is really powerful. We have now our curve. Um, and now it's hard. It's you can be rewarded. So we for sure keep just in general here. I would for sure keep like the Palace Guard, Violet, and Cobra, and Genie here because we have the curve.
Yep.
Like Genie is also very good. We could be rewarded to keep the Thunderbolt, but it's very risky, so I
Mm.
would not do that. Yeah, strength would be way better here. So yeah, like this. Yeah, I think that's a good. If you have now strength, and I mean you're on the draw, but you're still very happy if you now find a strength, then you should be really good in the game.
Perfect. All right, let's see what we get here.
Yeah, that's fine. We can adapt to our opponent because I like to have Diablo and Hook on the draw and Palace Guard, all three, to adapt what the opponent's deck is. So if we play against something aggressive, we ink the Diablo, play the Hook, and if we play against something we want to raise first, then we want to play the Palace Guard. So I think that's really cool.
All right. Yeah, let's move into. I think this deck's still good. My early testing says it's still good, but let's go to Blurple on the play. I'm not sure if you
Uh-huh.
agree or not, but
No, I think of course, yeah, of
yeah.
course we'll have a spot. I think against Blurple on the play. You said right.
Yes.
That's not a good hand.
Not at
Um,
all.
yeah, I mean it's okay, but it's also not good. If I have a decent curve, I sometimes keep no. I think we can't keep a Thunderbolt here. We have no one drop, so we keep Lexington and Madamim for sure because Lexington is the best 3 drop in this matchup. Um, but the rest is we need to find a 1 drop, and we would like to find a strength too. So keep these two, send these back. Yeah, hopefully
All right, let's see
draw
what
one
we
drop and a
get. Ooh.
strength. It's not the worst, but it's a 1 drop missing is of course a bit sad.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I think we are in a fine spot here. We can play turn 3 this Lexington, then they could play Genie, and then we play Dumbo, and then they have even if they have an Elsa, that's really awkward for them.
Yeah.
So I think yeah, I think we should still have a fine game here. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, let's move into Blurple on the draw then.
Yeah. I really like to have Lexington is the most important card against Blurple on the draw. That's what I can say. So it's very risky. So in the past we played like 4 genies and 4 dogs, and keeping a genie was way more risky than now. So now it's because we have less uninkables. So you can be very more risky to keep a genie because genie is a very important card often to raise. But in this situation where we have no 3 drop and no strength, we still don't keep a genie. I just want to say in general, you can be way more yeah, think about keeping a genie. But in this situation we only keep the Diablo and the 2 drop. Also Dumbo we don't keep, yeah.
Got it. All right, and let's see what
Um
we alter here. Yeah, we
Lexington is
got the
good.
Lexington. There he is.
And the 2 drop is also most of the time very good. So yeah, that's fine, yeah. That's good.
Perfect. This is a good hand. All right, let's
Yeah.
move on to a Amethyst, Steel, Mirror Match on the draw.
Mm-hmm. On the draw. Okay, hook is good. Hook is just good because in the mirror match it's very important to prevent any amount of lore. It's the mirror match is often like a very tight race where everyone who gets like free lore that can't be punished is like very good.
Yes.
So I mean, still, if they play Diablo and we play Hook and they play Calhoun, we still can't take out their Diablo. But if it's something else, um, so we have no 2-drop. Yeah, I would still, because we have the Hook, I would still keep the Diablo to just have a turn 2 play if we miss it. So I would send everything back other than these 2 1-drops. They are also totally reasonable ink when we find
Right.
something.
Okay.
So that's
Easy enough. Let's see what we get here. Much better.
yeah, that's fine. At least a decent curve. Like if they on the play and they have their strength line, it will be a hard game because we have no strength and we have no Pete.
Yeah.
But it's like yeah, I mean that's the game sometimes, yeah.
True that. All right, let's go to Amber Steel on the draw now. Do you think
No,
Amber Steel
we
still
didn't
has
make on
life?
the play, right?
No.
We didn't make on the
For the sake of time, we're switching to just on the draw because.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. All right. So Amber Steel on the draw. Do you still think this is a viable deck?
It's hard to say. I mean, it will for sure one Akko deck will for sure come up. I think, and Amber Steel is kind of a. This is a great hand. This is a really great hand. Like Madame Mim is Madame Mim is really great, but not only to play it on turn 2. I try to play Madame Mim not on turn 2. Like we want to play now Captain Hook into Violet, and then into yeah, Cobra is just straight up better than if they play Fire they can. Yeah, probably Lexington. So we play Hook, Violet, Lexington, but keeping the Madame Mim to punish them for going to, like, if they quest with the Daisy on turn 2 or something, then we can really punish that. So I would send these 2 Demonas back, but I would keep also the Cobra because, like, the 4 strength is a really important thing against this deck, and if they somehow kill our Lexington or something, we have at least something with 4 strength again to play. It's not a real issue to play a 3-drop on turn 4 against this deck. It's no issue. So I would keep that Cobra 2. Of course, like depending on the draw, one of these 2 could be ink then at some point, but I think that's totally reasonable to keep that because Genie is like not our on the draw for sure, not our most not the best play on turn 4. So I think that's the best, but it's a very good hand on the draw. We can't ask for more, basically.
Perfect. All right. Let's see what we alter here.
Yeah, that's okay. If they go for like Tiana line and then play like on turn 4 play something and sing strength, then we can at least hardcast the Zeus and hopefully trade on the Tiana. The Zeus, I always say Zeus. The
Yeah.
Thunderbolt.
I mean, Zeus is still right on there. It's it's hard to distinguish.
And banish the Tiana, and then hopefully our rest of the board can trade up. So the matchup got even better than in the past because of the Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
Because
agree.
like Thunderbolt is a reasonable hard cast even on the because they quest out with Tatiana and then because they want to raise and then their other stuff is like a Nala or something and then we can just freely trade this up if we can deal with the Tiana if
Yep.
we are not yeah.
All right, and for our last one of the day, let's move into Emerald Sapphire on the draw, which this deck has, I think, some of the most room for improvement and testing with all the new cards. There's a lot of crazy things that can go on, so
Yeah.
bear with us on this one because I think there's room for all sorts of improvements on Emerald Sapphire here out of the gates.
Yeah, for the first thing, like Diablo is the worst one drop by far because it first of all the draw doesn't matter too much because they're a clearable deck and it can't quest into a lot of stuff. So yeah, the best by far is the Palace Guard. And the most important card, especially on the draw, is like the Cobra on turn 3 because it enables us to deplete our hand while also getting lore. And they are a clearable deck, and we want to be able to deplete our hand. So Lexington is for sure the worst 3-drop, and Diablo is the worst 1-drop. So that's really not on the draw. It is also a really tough matchup. So it's really tough. I have to really to admit I didn't like crazy test this matchup yet. So I also have to be a bit. I have to do it a bit with feeling.
Yeah, understood.
I would probably send all 7, I think, because I'm on the draw and I want to just find better stuff.
Yeah.
But it's totally reasonable to keep the Diablo. But I think it's close. Probably very close. I think it's of course reasonable to send 7. I think.
All right, and let's see here. Much better.
We got the Palace Guard. We got the Violet is also a very good 2-drop because they can't deal with it. Yeah, but I mean they can deal with it, but it can not be like challenged. Way better, way better. That's a good hand. We can't ask for more. The strength is also not really good in this matchup most of the time. They have either the Webby or something that's not very valuable to strength. So that's for sure the matchup where strength has the least value.
Perfect. Well, Artabax, I just want to thank you for coming out for this first episode of the Whispers in the Well format and your second episode total. Last week we were lucky enough to have your other half of the
I saw it
with LD, and so getting just the full podcast here and getting to get your guys' knowledge, it's just it's been a dream come true. So I appreciate that. And before we get out of here, are there any shout outs you want to make?
Yeah, shout out to LD, to my co-host of the Artacast, and shout out to my team, Team Rare Hunter Shop, and shout out to my wife who also supports me. And thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, much appreciated. And until next time, everybody, this has been Alter Academy. We'll see you next week with another Whispers in the Well episode. Have a good one.
Bye.